Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Bridger of Worlds podcast. I am your host, Ioannis Kokkinos. I'm coming back at you with another episode. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you for watching. If you are tuning in from any of the podcasting hosting platforms, thank you for tuning in as well. So today I want to kind of talk about the basics about what the masculine polarity is, what the feminine polarity is, and what that may look, sound, and feel like as part of the human condition. So, as I mentioned in the previous episode, we all have a masculine polarity, we all have a feminine polarity. It doesn't matter what gender you identify with, it doesn't matter what your sexual orientation is. We all have a masculine energy and a feminine energy. So we'll start with the masculine. We'll start with masculine energy because the masculine is basically the container, the safe space, the embodiment of presence. Those are a few expressions of the masculine. There are more. We'll get into those in other episodes. But for today, I really want to talk about and paint this picture of basically this space that is available that we offer as human beings to ourselves and to each other and to circumstances, and the life that takes place within that space, which is the feminine. So I mentioned in the previous episode about the witness and non-judgment, which is actually masculine energy, conscious masculine energy, or healthy expression of masculinity, is the no judgment zone. Now, we obviously have like an ego. We have our traumas, we have our backstories, we have our burdens and our baggage. We have our reactions, we have our triggers, and these are like sources of judgment, right? Like whether we're judging ourselves, we're judging others, we're judging circumstances. Judgment is very innate, it is a part of our humanity. But this is all actually encompassed within the egoic mind, the mind of the ego. The ego's not necessarily bad. It's not a culprit. I think there's a bit of a misconception. There's a bit of miscommunication when it comes to, ego versus spirituality, or ego versus spiritual attainment, or like ego versus spiritual self. Yes and no. The ego can definitely be a big blockage when it comes to further expanding into our spiritual nature, because the ego is very much about the physical, material experience. The ego wants to ensure our survival. It wants to ensure our safety. We need survival. We need to feel safe, really, before we can do anything else. So it's constantly judging, right? This is good. This is bad. This is safe. This is not safe. This is good for me. That's bad for me, right? So we all have this type of mind, this, chatter inside our headspace. But we need to actually learn, just still a daily, it's a daily practice. I'm on this journey. We're all on this journey together. We need to learn eventually to quiet that mind space. And obviously, this is where meditation comes in, contemplation, quieting that chatter mind, so we can enter the non-judgmental mind, so that we can enter the no judgment zone, so that we can ultimately embody the witness. So this concept of the witness, if you're familiar with Eckhart Tolle, his book, The Power of Now, that's what the book is about. The witness. This is actually a fantastic book. It's a game-changing book if you're ready for it, because it is a book that can catalyze a literal spiritual awakening, which that was my case. The Power of Now, The Witness, Eckhart Tolle goes on to describe that we all have this witness within ourselves. They can observe, non-identify, non-attach with every single thought we have, with every single feeling that surfaces, and even with circumstances in our lives. And this is hard to grasp, right? Like, because a lot of the times we move through very difficult situations. We're dealing with very difficult people, yet we are still to learn and to practice no judgment. Because when we enter the no judgment headspace, when we embody the witness, we're actually able to hold space and give space to potential for life, for new life to be made manifest. So when we allow, let's say, the difficult emotions, the difficult feelings, the difficult thoughts to have some breathing room, not necessarily meaning we act on those thoughts or emotions or feelings, just giving them space to express through containers, through spaces. This is actually how alchemy and transformation of emotion, feeling, and thought can occur. Now, how does this all tie in with the masculine and the feminine? Well, the masculine, as I mentioned before, is that container. It's the safety provider. It's the no judgment space for any expression of life to occur. Obviously, this is where like the borders and the limits can come in, right? When we're setting up a container, when we're setting up a space, and this is, I think a lot of artists and creatives can resonate with this, but really if you're creating anything, if you're building anything, if you're creating a space to create and build something else from that space, you're setting up your borders, you're setting up your limits, you're setting up your constraints. So that's what it means to create a container, to build a container. And once that container is built and created, and there's a certain safety that's felt, right? That's what borders do. That's what a sense of limits provides for us as safety. Then life can actually express and transform, which is the feminine. Now, whether you're man or woman, non-binary, whatever gender you identify with, within each and every one of us, we have emotions, we have thoughts, we have feelings, we have reactions, we have triggers. When we learn how to practice offering safety and no judgment to those internal thoughts, to those internal feelings, to those internal emotions, that is where all of the magic is. That is where all of the healing is. Because first and foremost, we're no longer judging ourselves for having a certain thought, for having a certain feeling. And then we can eventually take that practice and apply it to the relationships in our lives. Because obviously, a lot of the turmoil we experience in our relationships is judging and criticizing each other, which that ties in back to shadow work. That ties in back to the reflections that the people of our lives offer us, which I talked about in the previous episode. So, to practice masculine embodiment, whether you're man or woman or any gender you identify with, is to practice safety, space holding as a safe container to feel your feelings and let your emotions be expressed. That's it. That's really the foundational work. That's the bread and butter of masculine and feminine work. And this can be helpful for every single human being. Because what I think is causing a lot of turmoil within ourselves is the lack of inner safety. We are conditioned to believe certain feelings are unacceptable, certain emotions are unacceptable. To express emotion is unacceptable. As a man, this has been a very, very present theme and trauma in my life, growing up. As I was becoming a man, I was a teenager growing into a man. I realized really I wasn't supposed to feel because it's emasculating. So this caused an array of pain within me, which fed into the porn addiction. By not allowing ourselves to feel, we suppress and deny emotion. That emotion doesn't go anywhere, it stays inside our body. We want to feel better from that specific emotion, so we turn to our vices. We become addicts. We develop compulsive and obsessive behaviors to make up for that non-feeling of that emotion. We separate the masculine and the feminine within us. Now, again, these are symbols. The masculine is a symbol, the feminine is a symbol. So in the masculine, when that part of you that is to offer safety and no judgment to the other part of you that wants to emote, express, and eventually transform, that is where the healing happens. That is where transformation happens. That is where alchemy happens. And this is actually all a part of many mystical traditions, esoteric schools of thought. A lot of the pre-religion spiritual teachings talk about exactly this. The reunion, aka divine union, of the sacred masculine and the divine feminine, which are polarities within us and are, of course, polarities that exist outside of us, the cosmos. We were not always here. So we need to look back on a time when humanity was not on this planet and how creation was occurring, how everything was coming into being. Obviously, nature came from the Earth. The Earth, planet Earth, came from our solar system. Our solar system came from our universe. So we are an expression of that. And if we are an expression of that, and the ultimate creative act of the human is to have sex, make love, for two individuals to come together to create a baby, to create new life, then it is totally and completely evident that that is what the foundational creative energy is of our entire existence. Obviously, we can bring the symbolism into intimate encounters, but for today, I just want to talk about really space holding and what that means, what that could mean for your healing. I know what it's done for my healing. I still practice it to this day, and I will continue to practice it because really the masculine embodies consciousness, the light of awareness, and the feminine represents the unconscious, the darkness of unawareness. One is not better than the other. One is not evil and one is not good. They're both needed. They're both part of the human condition. We need light, aka consciousness, aka awareness. And not only do we need, but we are darkness, unconscious, unawareness. This is how we are born. We come into this life unaware and unconscious, and so feminine, every single one of us. Yes, I'm talking to you, men. And what each and every human being's responsibility, purpose, mission is to make that unconscious conscious, to make feminine into masculine, to ultimately, once that masculine is realized, once that consciousness is realized, have them integrate, have them come together, because we cannot have consciousness without the unconscious. We cannot come into awareness without unawareness. The masculine needs to witness something. If there is nothing to witness, then there's no life. Like life, all of life within, life without. Life is happening every single second of every single day, of every single month, year. And what we tend to not think about, or what we haven't been taught, we have not realized, is that something is witnessing this life. And that something is consciousness. It's the witness, the great infinite intelligence of our universe that's witnessing life. And life is the movement. Life is the dance. Life is the shifts, the change. And then the witness, the great infinite intelligence, is that constant that allows change to happen, that allows the shifts to happen, that gives the space for life to move, to transform, to fade, to appear, to cease, to exist, to collapse, to emerge. So as you can see, this universal pattern, this universal dance is very well also alive within us. And that goes back to basically our emotions in relationship to the space we offer them. If we are constantly denying ourselves, constantly denying our emotions, denying our thoughts, denying our feelings, we're denying life. We're denying life within us, and we are denying the potential for transformation. We need the uncomfortable feelings and emotions to get to the comfortable ones. One is not better than the other, actually, because if we remove the low and the dense, heavy emotions, we don't even have the higher, lighter emotions. So you see how this dance needs space? So you see how the feminine needs the masculine, and the masculine also needs the feminine, because if we just had space, if we just had the witness, if we just had the great infinite intelligence and not have life materialize after that, what's the point? The point is change as part of our human condition. The point is to emote as part of our human condition. The point is to feel everything, feel it all. No more holding back. Feel it all. Give yourself that space. Give yourself that safe container. Be the witness for yourself, first and foremost. And then it'll come with the relationships. It'll come with the outside, external reality. Let's start from here for today. Start practicing witnessing. I would highly recommend reading The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. He describes, he paints the witness as it's just incredible what he wrote, and how he expresses his interpretation of the witness, which really is non-identification with the ego, non-attachment to the passing by feelings, thoughts, scenarios, observing within all of the chaos and the tumultuousness that can be our internal world, there is also a very, very powerful, present, quiet center that witnesses everything, that is not taken by that chaos. It's not. But because when we are in those states, we totally are not aware that there is an awareness within us that is non-changing, unwavering, undying, and unyielding. And as soon as we start to offer a very minute light there, it's incredible how that space will start to grow within yourself. Once that space starts to grow, your container grows, your container expands. You can actually learn how to hold space for more emotion, for more feelings, for more of your feminine, for more of the feminine energy within you. We need the feminine. My God, do we need the feminine as men and women, as any gender you identify with? Because the feminine is life. And we're here to live. For men who, let's say, are obsessed, and I was one of them, I'll go first in line with this obsession of being hyper masculine because of what culture taught me, movies, society, everything. And obviously that was a definition of masculine energy and what I had to do to feel masculine, aka become a porn star. But once as men, we learn how to let ourselves feel and let ourselves emote. In this way, our container grows, our container expands. And this is how we actually get to feel more masculine. I'm going to leave it here. There's so much more. There's so much more, but I will leave it here because I feel like that is enough food for thought today. As I mentioned, this is my love language. I love, love, love this work because it speaks very much to my personal journey, my battles, my warfare, my struggles, my trauma around my masculine and feminine energetics. I was very much in my feminine as a boy, growing into adolescence. I was very much in my feminine as a teenager. I was very much in my feminine in my 20s until my knee injury happened. And then once I started to practice or learn, I came across the witness, non-identification, non-attachment, what I actually realized about what true masculine energy embodies. Everything changed. Everything shifted. This is why I'm so passionate about this work. And obviously, I want to spread the message to my brothers, to the men of the world, that you are very much not alone in this warfare, because I know this is something most of us struggle with. I've been to retreats, I've done workshops, I'm online, I'm on the internet. I know as a man as well what the struggle is. We are in need of healing. We are in need of community. We are in need of each other. And it's not a conversation that it's man versus woman or patriarchy versus matriarchy. It's not that. That's not the conversation. I'm not here to feed into that conversation. I believe every single human being has masculine and feminine within themselves. That's the conversation. That's the most important conversation. And then you see how men and women can coexist. Or, this is not about gender either, right? Like, whatever you identify with, whatever you are, it's all good. But we all have these two polarities within ourselves. So, there we go. That's it for today's episode. I will be back next week. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you are on YouTube, Please hit that like button, subscribe, share the content. I so greatly appreciate that. If you are on a podcasting host platform, thank you for listening in. I have some things cooking behind the scenes, as I already mentioned, and I will be making those announcements when that will come online. So I will see you again next week. And as always, please remember, you are the medicine and I am just the messenger. Thank you very much.